Oh, that's worked a lot better. Maybe I should focus it in future. You can even see my brush growing, which is quite cool. This is my very shiny dog, Elvis Presley. Good morning, Elvis Presley says. That was Gareth giving me a biscuit. What do you say? What did you say? That one will have to be bleeped out, I'm afraid. Said under the breath. Learning outcomes. After reading this chapter, you will be able to understand how children direct their own learning and learn from others. Describe the importance of imitation, play, and instruction. Explain how children transfer what they know across different contexts. Introduction. In previous chapters, we explored in some detail what children are learning about relationships, emotions, other minds, language, and much else besides. This chapter unites these topics by looking at how children go about learning in general. Young children are noisy, easily distracted, unpredictable, impulsive, messy, and most, by definition, cannot take care of themselves. Yet they are also highly sophisticated learners, who in a short time acquire an incredible amount of information about themselves, other people, and the world around them. In this chapter, we explore this apparent contradiction and discover that some of these supposed limitations actually make them better learners. In particular, their eagerness to play, explore, and be spontaneous turns them into expert information foragers. We focus on two broad types of learning: learning about the world through first-hand exploration, and learning second-hand by imitating and benefiting from what others do, say, and know. Exploration. Psychologist Alison Gopnik describes a fundamental tension in learning known as the explore-exploit dilemma. Stick with what you know and risk missing out on something new, or explore something new and risk not exploiting what you know. She gives the following example. You can choose whether to go to a familiar, reliable restaurant or try a new place that might be better or might be worse. The first option will give you a good meal, but no new information. The second option risks a less good meal, but will give you more information and might lead to something even better than you've known choice. Which should you do? Gopnik, 2016. Children need to resolve a general version of this problem all the time in their learning, and it turns out they are experts in balancing when to explore and when to exploit. In a very short time, they learn about objects, people, animals, and plants, so creating their own theories of the physics, biology, and psychology of the world around them. They do this well before they go to school, with no explicit teaching. A long childhood allows for an early protected period devoted to learning and exploration, as seen in young children's love of new, neophilia, and curiosity, which lead to active exploration and play. Gopnik argues that the whole environmental evolutionary point of childhood is not to get children to do anything in particular. Instead, it is to enable them to be creative and try different solutions in different circumstances. This early exploration phase of development is followed by a latter adult period devoted to directed exploration based on what has been learned earlier, characterized by more focused skills, action, and expertise. Gopnik, 2016. Key point: children are highly effective, motivated, active, and playful learners, balancing the needs of exploring the world around them and exploiting what they have learned. Young children are particularly drawn to inconsistent or unexpected outcomes that provide new information about the way the world works. For example, seeing a ball magically hover in midair provides new information. It is worthy of attention. Seeing a ball that bounces along the ground, just as expected, adds another new. It's boring, so it's better to focus on attention somewhere else. Children systematically learn from their exploration, revise their beliefs based on evidence they have gathered, and generate new predictions about the way the world works. In the context, belief does not refer to something religious, but something more basic. For example, the belief that things exist even though you can't see them, that the objects unsupported tends to fall down, or that if someone goes upstairs, their head also tends to go with them. Key points. Children pay particular attention to inconsistent or unexpected outcomes that provide new information about the way the world works. Figure 5.1. The Blicket detector in this example, there are two possibilities. Blickets are cylinders, or less likely, but still possible. Blickets can also be cylinders and cubes when they appear together. There is no evidence that blickets are just cubes. Let's look at an example of how good young children are at exploratory active learning. The clearest evidence that children are expert information explorers comes from studies that show they actually perform better than adults on precisely the same tasks when those tasks involve broad search and netball exploration. Alison Gopnik and her team set out to investigate this ability in a series of experiments using the Blicket detector. The Blicket detector is a box that lights up and plays music when it detects a blicket. Children don't know what a blicket is, and the challenge facing them is to work out what one is by placing shapes on the box and seeing how it responds. In one variation of the Blicket experiment, 4 and 5 years old children were more likely than adults to entertain the improbable, but as it turned out, true possibility that blickets can be pairs of objects. Figure 5.1, Gopnik et al., 2015. As more and more blicket examples were revealed in the experiment, children's broad exploratory learning style was better than the approach taken by the adults for detecting what objects were blickets. Because adults were convinced they were right, blickets are just cylinders. This caused them to overlook the possibility that the blickets could also be pairs of objects as well as single ones. The adults were more susceptible to the confirmation bias, a tendency we all have to seek out evidence that confirms our beliefs rather than challenges them. This is the reason why most people read newspapers, watch TV, and surround themselves with friends that reinforce their opinions rather than the ones that challenge them. Figure 5.2. Children in the experiment, by contrast, were less susceptible to the bias, choosing instead to explore a broader range of possible ideas They were less influenced by prior assumptions and paid more attention to current evidence. Adult experience and expertise in this context represent a double-edged sword. We can exploit what we do know, drawing quick and confident conclusions when a problem is familiar to us. However, a lot of knowledge can be a dangerous thing. These biases can make up less flexible learners, being too reluctant to revise our beliefs. When we come across situations outside our direct experience, like a Blicket detector, and the more confident we are about an idea, the more evidence it takes to overturn the idea itself. Sometimes the biggest obstacle to the truth is thinking we already know it. The Blicket detector is a specific example of a more general challenge we all face, explaining why things happen the way they do and working out cause and effect. The ability to understand causal relationships and to reason for them is at the heart of many distinctive human abilities, like sophisticated forms of tool use and technological innovation. More on this in Chapter 9. For children every day, the world is full of Blicket detectors. They are trying to work out why objects, animals, and people work the way they do. The broader and more complex the possibilities are, the more their exploration will be valuable to them. Children don't have a blessing or curse of having strong prior expectations about the complex world of cause and effect, because they are busy working out what their first expectations are. When children have an idea what the way the world works, they are more likely than adults to actively explore alternative plausible explanations that would prove themselves wrong, the way a good scientist should. This means they can often home in on the underlying cause and effect of a situation in an optimal way by 3 years of age. Children frequently seek explanations by asking questions, provide explanations for things that happen, and they use the casual knowledge to make predictions. Young children not only learn as much or more than adults, they also learn differently. Research suggests younger learners can be better, or at least more open-minded than older ones. Finally, children have a go exploratory attitude to learning. It may require an optimistic view of their own abilities. For example, preschoolers typically think they can remember more items, communicate more effectively, imitate a model more accurately, and perform better on a range of tasks than they actually can. Lipko et al. 2009. Young children overly positive opinions of their physical, social, and cognitive abilities could give them the confidence and motivation to attempt things they would not otherwise try. Key point: children exploratory learning is well suited to learning about cause and effect and to using the knowledge to predict how things will behave in the world.